I want you to imagine this. It's 2 in the morning. You're exhausted. You tell your AI assistant, hey, book me the cheapest flight to Tokyo next week, under $800, and grab a hotel near the airport, budget friendly, good reviews. You fall asleep and your agent gets to work. It searches 17 airline websites, finds a deal on booking.com, checks 43 hotels, negotiates with 3 of them, finds you a place with a 4.8 star rating for $90 a night. Perfect. And then it stops. It shows you the cart, asks you to manually enter your credit card, manually verify, manually click through 3 security checks, manually solve a CAPTCHA because the website thinks your AI is a bot. And let's face it, it is. You wake up in the morning, relaxed, and then a cold sweat appears above your brow. You have nothing booked. You have no choice but to rerun the entire process again. The flights with the good rates are gone. The perfect hotel is now fully booked. When we think about agentic behaviour, this is not the world we anticipated. But this is the reality of the world. The entire payment infrastructure of the internet works like this. The internet was built for humans, not machines. And that's a $1 trillion problem that some very smart people are solving right now. See, we're at this weird inflection point in history. AI agents have become shockingly capable. Claude can write code. ChatGPT can gift you a 5-year business plan, send cold emails and convert them to calls. Gemini can plan your entire vacation, but payments are still a nightmare. Think about all the steps that go on behind the scenes. Your agent needs to, first, prove it has your permission to spend your money. Second, prove to the merchant that this permission is legitimate. 3, actually move the money from A to B. 4, do it without getting flagged as fraud. 5, leave an audit trail in case something goes wrong. 6, work across different platforms, different countries, different currencies. And it needs to be done in a way that doesn't make it easy for hackers to steal your money, for fraudsters to create fake AIs that impersonate you, or for malicious agents to go hallucinate and bankrupt you while you're getting your morning coffee. In this new series, On the Edge, we're going to be examining the very bleeding edge of AI and computing, and asking questions about what the future of the internet looks like. In this first episode, we'll look at agentic payments, the challenges they face, and how they might work on an AI-first internet. In the last few months, we've seen some significant developments behind the scenes that are laying the groundwork for the future of payments on the internet. Google have launched AP2, an agentic payment protocol aimed at authorizing agents to make payments for the very first time. And off the back of this, Coinbase have launched a protocol, X402, based on stablecoins, which acts as an extension for AP2. I want to start by asking you to consider how you'd hire someone in the real world to shop for you. You wouldn't just hand them your credit card and say go wild, you'd give them instructions. That's a contract. It defines scope, limits, and requires approval. AP2 does the exact same thing, but in code. It creates digital contracts between you and your AI agent that are cryptographically signed, can't be forged, tamper-proof, that means they can't be modified after signing, verifiable by anyone, so that means the merchants can check them, they are legally binding, this creates an audit trail, they are machine readable, agents can execute them automatically. Google calls these contracts mandates, and there are 2 types. The first mandate is the intent mandate. This is you telling your agent what you want it to do. Let's say you tell your AI, find me a new laptop, a MacBook or a ThinkPad. It must be under $1,500, must have 32 gigabytes of RAM. Check Best Buy, Amazon and Apple. Your AI creates a cryptographically signed document that captures your intent. That document includes a user ID, an agent ID, and a list of constraints, such as max price, as well as the brand and the merchants. This intent mandate becomes the constitution for your agent. It can search those 3 stores, it can compare those brands, but it cannot buy from any other website, spend more than $1,500, look at desktops or tablets, use this authorization tomorrow, it expires tonight. The agent is now operating within a signed, verifiable boundary. Consider how much hallucination affects our everyday use of AI.
How could I possibly trust an AI agent with my credit card details? What if it misunderstands me and buy like 200 tickets instead of 2, or worse, a lifetime supply of rubber duckies? I mean, my kid might like it, but we already have too many of those.
It is a feature, not a bug, as we are so often reminded. And now imagine the sheer chaos that would bring if we left AI loose with our credit cards with no filters. AP2 stops this from happening. But to complete the payment, AP2 also needs a cart mandate. This cart mandate is an immutable record of the exact items, the exact prices, the exact merchant, the exact timestamp, and it gets hashed. That means it's cryptographically sealed. And that becomes the proof of what you agreed to buy. If the merchant tries to swap the product, the hash doesn't match. If someone tries to add items, the hash doesn't match. If the price changes, hash doesn't match. The transaction fails, you're protected. Google's AP2 has solved a number of problems. Did the user actually authorize this purchase? With traditional payments, this is ambiguous. Someone used your card, but was it you? Your spouse, a thief, your AI agent. With A2P, you have a cryptographic signature chain. The user signed the intent mandate. The user signed the cart mandate. Both are timestamped and verifiable. Let's talk about authenticity. How does the merchant know this agent truly represents the user? What stops a malicious AI from saying, "Hi, I'm Harry's agent, buy me this $10,000 camera"? AP2's answer, the mandates. The merchant can verify. The intent mandate was signed by user's private key. The cart mandate chains back to the intent. The signatures are valid. The agent ID matches. If any steps fail, the transaction is rejected. The merchant has mathematical proof that this is fraud. When something goes wrong, who's liable? Is it the user, the AI platform, the payment processor, the merchant, the agent developer? AP2 creates an auditable chain of evidence. The user signed the intent mandate, the user set the boundary, the agent searched within those boundaries, the platform executed the instructions, the user approved the cart mandate, the user confirmed the final purchase, the merchant fulfilled, the merchant validated, mandates. Every actor has a role, every role is documented. Disputes become traceable because you can see exactly where the process broke down. AP2, pioneered by Google, is also an extension of two other important AI protocols, MCP, the Model Context Protocol, and the Agent-to-Agent Protocol created by Google. We can see how one protocol lays the foundations of another. AP2 is just lines of JSON, structured in the same way the MCP is, with clear variables. AP2 is also payment agnostic, and over 60 payment providers have already signed up, including the likes of Amex, JCB, MasterCard, PayPal, Revolut, Salesforce. This is significant because imagine if every major player decided to go off and make their own agentic payment protocol system. You'd end up in a world of competing ecosystems. Google have been careful not just to build on MCP, which was pioneered by Anthropic, but to build with legacy players in mind too, and to allow others to build on AP2 as well. And it's worth looking back at history here. Diners Club, that's the first credit card in the US in 1950, faced the exact same problems that A2P could have faced today. Diners Club cards were revolutionary because they encouraged diners to spend more. If they forgot their wallet, they didn't have to go back and get it, they could simply hand over their credit card. But it took years for this to catch on, because restaurants wouldn't accept the card unless lots of people had it, and yet people wouldn't get the card unless lots of restaurants accepted it. In 1959, Bank America card, that's the first card with revolving credit, did something insane. With this card, you didn't have to pay the full bill every month. For the first time, you could carry a balance. So Bank of America mailed 60,000 unsolicited cards to residents of California, and they essentially felt they had free cash to spend so long as they paid it back at some point. But it got people using credit cards. With AP2, Google have rallied hard to get major players lined up solving this problem, and in 2025 that doesn't just mean legacy banks. Payment agnostic also means crypto-backed systems as well, which is what Coinbase have engineered. Just as Google built AP2 on top of the MCP, Coinbase have built X402 on top of AP2. Now X402 brings the blockchain front and center to payment verification. As we know, verification is a problem that the blockchain ledger can solve. It's a cryptographic payment at its heart. But it's also worth pointing out that payment rails were never designed for machines. When you use your credit card, now there's a 3% merchant fee, a minimum charge of around 30 cents. Settlements take about 2 to 3 days. Chargebacks can take months at a time. You need an account, you need KYC verification, You need to trust the intermediaries. Now all this works fine when you're buying a $50 sweater. But what if your agent needs to pay less than a cent for a single API call, make 10,000 microtransactions per hour, or indeed buy exactly 3 seconds of GPU compute time, something we of course know all about at G-Corp? Or what if they need to purchase one research paper for 25 cents? Traditional payment systems would collapse. The fees alone would cost more than the service. This is where Coinbase enters the picture, and they asked a simple question: what if we could strip away all the intermediaries? X402 is built on top of A2P's mandate system, but it replaces traditional payment rails with something radical: stablecoins on the blockchain. X402 has near zero fees, there are fractions of a cent. The settlements are in seconds, there's no minimum, and it works with any wallet, and it's cryptographically final. There's also a direct transfer. And what's fascinating about X402 is that because it's on the blockchain, we can already start to see some examples of these kinds of payments being made. And these are primarily micropayments for accessing web services and APIs. The recipients that we can see listed often have names indicating they've made payments for API endpoints. We can see Firecrawl there, and that's paying for web crawling on a crawl at a time. You can also see that at the time of recording, the total number of transactions on X402 had barely surpassed $50,000. That's really crazy how early we are. Now, one interesting observation about the way this has played out is that for a while there did not seem to be much of a consensus around the way in which agents were going to interface with the internet. There was a lot of experimentation with computer use agents. OpenAI brought out Operator and upgraded it. Anthropic has a computer use agent, and only this month did Google bring out their own computer use agent built on Gemini 2.5. And this actually beats OpenAI's Operator on the benchmarks. You can try it out using browser-based, either running it as an API call with Playwright added on for sandboxing. But the problem, as you'll see if you use it, is that whilst the computer use agents work well in a staged environment, in the real web they often encounter captchas, two-factor authentication and timeouts. All of this technology was designed in an era to stop malicious bots or DDoS attacks, but they are becoming increasingly problematic in an LLM-rich internet. Most of these computer use agents use continuous screenshots and function calling. It's tedious, and there's a lot of scope for things to go wrong. We know LLMs work best when we put guardrails around them, and this is what these protocols do. An LLM loose on the internet with your credit card has to either end the session when something unexpected happens and wait for the user to decide what to do next, which of course defeats the point of automation in the first place, or try to reason and make a decision for itself, and that can lead to disastrous consequences. Imagine if you have a budget of $999 for a MacBook, because that's the price you see on the website. When it gets to checkout, the price for some reason is $1,000. But what if there are additional fees for tax at checkout? Now, a human would simply pay those small extra fees, but an LLM might abandon the entire process, go down a rabbit hole and purchase you a different brand of laptop that is exactly $999, but is not what you want. It's also worth noting that all the use cases for agentic payment we've mentioned so far centre around e-commerce. In the grand scheme of things, these use cases are relatively trivial. For most products, a human user can request a refund and return the product. Web crawling and micropayments are small payments that can be stopped after a few calls, when and if they don't return the required outcomes. There are many reasons why an LLM might be better at making those decisions, especially one trained on all a user's health data, or in a world where health tech devices auto-sync with our LLMs. But who is liable for such decisions? Hallucination here is not something that would be acceptable even in 1% of cases. We need a protocol, and even then we need to start considering how that would work within existing compliance frameworks like HIPAA. So let's go back to where we started. It's 2 AM, you're exhausted. You tell your AI agent, book me the cheapest flight to Tokyo next week under $800 and grab a hotel near the airport. Budget friendly, good reviews. Your agent searches. It finds everything. It validates against your AP2 mandate, executes payments via X402. You wake up to a confirmation email and a detailed receipt showing you exactly what it did and why. The technology to make this happen exists today. Google's A2P is live, Coinbase's X402 is operational, the protocols work. But as we've seen throughout the episode, technology is never the hard part. Mass adoption and getting a system that works 100% of the time and is trusted is important. The payment infrastructure we build in the next 5 years will be with us for the next 50. Credit cards are still using technology from the 1960s. ACH is still using protocols from the 1970s. If we build agentic payments wrong now, we may well be stuck with a half-baked system for half a century.